Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.
Left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed, the aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
Well, the New World Order is right out in the open now. Makes my job a lot easier, but still it's like playing a game of chicken with these criminals as they take over every facet of our society and every other major nation and loot the living daylights out of it. The FDA has come out and rejected a ban on bisphenol A. And so people nationwide are demanding that it be labeled. Companies are voluntarily labeling that their plastic is not the cancer-causing sterilant. So government is going to move, they're now announcing, as they've done with GMOs, to not let plastic be labeled. We're going to poison you, and we're not going to let you find out to make your own choice. Just like they've tried to take mercury out of the label of the vaccines, but keep it in there. Climate change skeptics, a sickness that must be treated, says professor. Global warming alarmist equates climate denial with racism. And we've written past articles everywhere where it's not just her saying, take people to re-education centers. They're saying arrest climate deniers. So these are authoritarians parading around who play this appeal to authority and say, I am your boss. I say you must believe what I say. And it's like Holocaust denial. That's what they say. You must be arrested for that. Well, you must be arrested for this. And now in Europe, if you criticize anything political, they arrest you. First it starts with Holocaust and moves on to that. No free speech. And these people just sit there and say, look, I work for the government, I work for academia, I am your God. Believe what I say or off with your head or off to the gulag, off to the retraining center. These are total authoritarians masquerading as liberals. Every federal agency and state agency are arming to the teeth against the public because it's not our government. It works for the global mafia, the mega banks that have seized the country. Does that mean the average person in those bureaucracies is bad? No. Just like the average German soldier was not a bad person. But who's on top? Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, sworn to destroy this country's sovereignty, all on record shipping narcotics into the country and being above the law. Laundering the money, owning the aircraft, Bloomberg, AP, nobody gets in trouble. Wells Fargo, Wachovia. Government shipping guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment. In all the federal court rulings, narcotics trafficking. Their informants come in all the time and say, I was told to bring in these 10 tons. The government comes in and says, that's right, please drop the case. Of course, it's $500 billion a year in drugs coming in alone. Of course, the big banks that run the country and run the military and run the FBI are running it. The only people they're allowed to bust are the small potato people. The people that happen to have routes to sneak it in that cuts in on the big mafia's money. That's it then. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yes, Alex, I agree with you. I think that they are trying to cause divide and conquer. I think it's better. What I would do, though, is I would bring up all the cases of bigotry through gun control, through there's what millions of people have died through that. But what I wanted to say was this was a distraction. And look what I found. It's to distract us from what other stuff. Like I found this video on YouTube, and it's a Pentagon briefing, and it's on removing the God gene. It came out. It was dated April 13th, 2005. And basically it talks about how vaccines are going to be used to go after Islamic fundamentalists, and it says that it's going to attack their frontal lobe and cause them to be lobotomized.
Well, I know that they're coming out with vaccines that they admit will make you behave yourself, and they call them vaccines. They're really nanotech, genetic engineering, mutation systems, like vaccines so you won't have a heart attack, vaccines so you won't ever want to use drugs because it destroys all of your endorphin receiver sites. I have not seen this Pentagon briefing. Is it actual video of it?
Yes, go to YouTube and type in Pentagon briefing on removing the God gene. The God gene.
I mean, this is how much trouble we're in. It's one thing to have it on paper from them, but another thing to know. This weekend I saw it in the news that, oh my gosh, some estimates are 1 in 56 now have autism in the U.S., 1 in 41 in South Korea. What's happening? And one thing is, well, it shows that iPads and things with small children wire their brains differently, and pesticides, and bisphenol A, and mercury in the vaccines. Folks, it's all of it. I go to restaurants, and I look and look at people's children, and folks, these kids look like they've been run over. And it's going to become so apparent soon when half the people on your block have cancer. And when your child can't talk at age 4, and when the curses of the eugenics slaughter hit you, they're gone. Public's gone. And even if we try to not eat GMO and try to be healthy, they're jacking the entire food supply. It gets into all the vegetables. They spray the vegetables with fluoride. They got chemtrails with barium salts, aluminum dioxide, thorium. They add uranium to the water supply. And people actually went and looked that up the last 2 years, so it forced media to cover it. And all over the country, news channels go and stick a Geiger counter up to the local water district, and it shows, 50, 60, 70, 80 times the radiation level. And they go, oh, we don't. And then the police and everybody goes, we don't know, because no one does know, because it's hiding in plain view. It's added to the water. I challenge newscasters to do it. They go out and do it, but their news editors won't let them say it's what the city buys to put in your water. They just say, gee, we don't know why there's so much radiation in the water. We're fed radiation. We're fed radiation. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off during this break. We are saving the video right now. I am getting intense chills. If you watch this video or listen to this and don't get freaked out, then that means they've already got you. I have had nightmares about this for a decade since I learned of it from government documents that are public, of a time when they're going to release a communicable virus that attacks the key lobes of the brain, the frontal cerebral cortex, so that you can't have emotion anymore, and it attacks another side lobe that is associated with spiritual experiences. They call it the God gene. I just, during the last 2 segments, watched the Pentagon briefing, confirmed it's put out by the Pentagon, with Pentagon code. I separately had read this in MIT reports, but I see the military brass in the meeting talking about injecting the troops with a lobotomizer. I feel like I should stop the show and go run screaming down the street saying, they're here, body snatchers. I mean, this is that big, but it's our own species, and it's men in suits and military officers at a Pentagon briefing sitting there. Put it up on screen for folks, guys. It's DOD ID 149AZ2. These are brain scans of troops that are, quote, get back from combat. Oh, my gosh. I remember Wired magazine saying they give them amnesic drugs when they get back from combat, so they don't remember what they did, or when they serve 4 or 5 tours. Now when they burn them out with this, they give them a lobotomy shot, and they go on to admit it's a lobotomy shot. Whoa, whoa. And again, it's how they hide this high treason in plain view. They hide this where, oh, yeah, we're going to kill babies up to age 3. Yeah, we're shooting the troops up with this vaccine that lobotomizes them. It's for their own good. And the whole crew is in there with their mouths hanging open. When I made the video, brain-eating vaccines, and it only got like 300 and something thousand views. Guys, will you put up my brain-eating vaccine video that's on YouTube? Yeah, there's the right middle frontal gyrus after they've been given the vaccine. They just knock out that brain activity. Wow. And these are projects in 2005 with our troops. You have a religious brain that's A. You have the non-religious brain. You see, the key thinking centers are right there on that right frontal lobe. When they give you a lobotomy, that's what they hit. Wow. Oh, my gosh. I got nothing. And no one even cares. I'll probably be arrested because I'm not for lobotomizing everyone. I mean, it's beyond me what's going on here. And they're all over the news going, we're going to give your child a vaccine at school so they'll never want cigarettes or alcohol.